He wasn't supposed to be there that night. No cameras, no security detail. Just a quiet visit to a business that carried his name. But the moment he stepped inside, something felt off. The laughter in the dining room didn't reach the hallway in the back. And then he heard it, a soft, broken sound. Someone crying. Not the kind of tears from a bad day. The kind that come from humiliation, from being made to feel small. He followed the sound and froze when he realized who it was, and why. What he uncovered in that hallway wasn't just about one employee. It was about a truth most people pretend not to see. For most people, Vin Diesel was a global movie star. To his staff, he was a quiet owner who believed in loyalty, hard work, and second chances. He had invested in the restaurant not just as a business, but as a statement. Opportunity mattered to him. Respect mattered even more. The restaurant had quickly become one of the busiest spots in the city. Dim lighting, polished wood floors, laughter filling the air almost every night. On the surface, it ran like a well-oiled machine. Among the staff was a young server named Maya. She worked double shifts without complaint, memorized regular customers' orders, and sent most of her tips back home to help her family. For her, this job wasn't temporary. It was stability. It was survival. Management praised her work ethic. Customers complimented her kindness. But not everyone treated her the same way. Over the past few weeks, subtle changes had crept in. Certain tables requested another server. Certain co-workers grew colder. A few comments lingered in the air longer than they should have. Nothing loud. Nothing obvious. Just enough to make someone feel small. That night, as the dinner rush peaked and the restaurant buzzed with energy, something shifted behind the scenes. Vin moved quietly through the space, unnoticed. He liked observing without disrupting. But as he neared the back hallway, the sound reached him again. Crying. He slowed his steps. Around the corner, Maya stood facing the manager. Her shoulders were tight, hands clenched in front of her apron. The manager's voice was low but firm, carrying the weight of authority. He wasn't yelling. He didn't need to. The words were sharp enough on their own. He told her some customers had complained, said she wasn't the right fit for certain tables, suggested it might be better if she stayed in the back during peak hours, framed it as strategy, as business. Maya's breathing grew shallow. She asked what she had done wrong. Her record was clean. No write-ups, no policy violations, just good reviews and long hours. The manager avoided specifics. He spoke about brand image, about guest comfort, about maintaining a certain atmosphere. But the meaning was clear. It wasn't about her performance. It was about her presence. Vin felt something tighten in his chest. He stayed still, listening as the manager implied that sometimes perception mattered more than fairness, that sometimes you have to make adjustments to keep customers happy. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Not loud, not dramatic, just silent heartbreak. And that was when Vin stepped into the doorway. The manager froze mid-sentence. Maya looked up, startled, fear flashing across her face. Not fear of him, but fear of what would follow. The hallway fell silent. Vin didn't raise his voice. He simply asked the manager to repeat what he had just said about brand image and the right look. The confidence drained instantly. The explanation shifted. It became about business strategy, revenue, customer satisfaction. Vin asked a few simple questions. Had Maya ever been written up? No. Had she violated policy? No. Was there any documented misconduct? No. Only complaints. Only discomfort. Only preference. And suddenly, the truth stood exposed in the quiet hallway. This wasn't about standards. It wasn't about professionalism. It was about the color of her skin making certain customers uncomfortable, and management choosing profit over principle. Vin felt anger rise, but beneath it was disappointment. This wasn't a stranger's decision. This was happening under his name, under his roof. He looked at the manager and asked a question that lingered heavier than any accusation. When did discomfort become a reason to diminish someone's dignity? There was no answer, only silence. And in that silence, a choice had to be made. The next morning, the manager was gone. Not quietly transferred, not gently corrected. Gone. Vin didn't turn it into a spectacle. He turned it into a standard. Policies were rewritten. Staff meetings were held. It was made clear that no customer preference would ever outweigh an employee's dignity. Maya returned a few days later, uncertain. The dining room looked the same. The lights still dim. The floors still polished. But something had shifted. Not because prejudice had vanished. Not because the world had changed overnight. But because someone in power had chosen not to look away. The sting of that night didn't dissipate. Words like "not the right look" don't fade easily. They echo. They try to follow you home. But so does something else. Proof that silence is a choice. And so is courage. Stories like this unfold every day. In restaurants, offices, stores, schools. Most never make headlines. They hide behind words like policy and preference. And that's how injustice survives. Not always through shouting, but through quiet compromise. Vin could have walked away. The manager could have stayed. Maya could have been moved to the back, unseen. Instead, a line was drawn. Because the real question isn't whether racism still exists in everyday spaces. It's this: when we see it, will we protect comfort, or will we protect people?